The year is 403 BC. Old Testament ends as the Persians region over the area. God used events during the Intertestamental Period to pave the way for the coming of his Son and his Son's divine purpose. The time between the last writings of the Old Testament and the appearance of Christ in the known as the Intertestamental, or Between the Testaments period. Traditionally, it is considered to cover roughly 400 years, spanning the ministry of Malachi. In the Old Testament times, the kings Saul, David, and Solomon ruled over all 12 tribes of Israel. The nation then split into the 10 tribes, Northern Kingdom of Israel and the Southern Kingdom of Judah. From the spread of Hellenization, which is the manifestation of Greek culture and socialization, the Intertestamental Period prepared for the coming of Christ and the rise of the Church in many fortunate, providential, and advantageous ways. The Intertestamental Period, or Deuterocanonical Period, is the period between the events of proto-canonical books and the New Testament. The Ptolemaic dynasty of the Intertestamental Period showed a positive influence on the rise of the early church by producing translations of the then current-day Bible, the Old Testament. On a less influential yet still providential note, the near end of the Intertestamental Period saw the unintentional preparation of the temple in which Jesus would teach. In 356 BC, Alexander the Great was born, and goes to tutor under Aristotle. As he grows up, he dominates the region and spreads the Greek culture in 343 to 331 BC. He then proceeded to spread Hellenism, the national character or culture of Greece. Overall, he was doing God's plan on teaching people about Greek culture and spreading the culture to others. It would then spread the good news of the gospel of Jesus. To understand further about the event, it is also important to understand some of the important events during the period, such as beginnings of the Jewish diaspora and the Hellenistic Judaism, establishment of the first synagogues, change in common language, and others. In 343 to 331 BC, Alexander the Great dies at a ripe age of 32, leaving his empire to the strongest. It gets split up to different generals, one of which, Ptolemy, takes Egypt and Palestine and assumes control of the Jews. Another area to focus on is today's time with the period. The Papal Basilica of St. Peter in the Vatican is a church built in the Renaissance style located in Vatican City. It was initially planned by Pope Nicholas V and then Pope Julius II to replace the aging old St. Peter's Basilica. Even till this day, it is still one of the holiest places for Catholics. As a new pope took over the place, Jorge Mario Bergoglio, or as we would like to call him, Pope Francis. The Intertestamental Period was a way for people to be able to have belief and hope that the coming of Christ would be soon, and to never give up their faith or their hope, and to keep striving forward in hopes that it will soon come true, waiting patiently for the time to be right. It was a way for everyone to be able to stay true and holy to their Savior, and to keep going and push through the terrible evil that was in front of them. In conclusion, the spread of Hellenistic culture by Alexander the Great, followed by the establishment of a one-world government by Rome, paved the way for the coming of Christ and the rise of the Church. Even knowing how far we've come as a species, we cannot forget what the period helped us with and prepared us for the coming of Christ and for the future of influencing mankind and paving the way for Christians all over the world. The world is very interesting, and honestly, very lovely. We've gone through so much and learned so little. There's so much more for us to learn out there. And honestly, I can't wait to see what we learn next. This was my essay, and have a wonderful Christmas. Take care.